John Cena to me was always my childhood hero. I grew up watching John Cena, very much like the people in the 80s who watched, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. John Cena was that for me.
Really, you could take any of the AJ Styles matches, including the match they had at Vector Arena in Auckland, which was incredible for New Zealand to be treated to in the lead up to their SummerSlam. And of course, Courtney and I were both in Perth for Crown Jewel this year, which, again, just running back the feud, so incredible.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 17 of That Sweet Pop. It is our last episode of the year and it is a biggie. What a topic we have got today. I'm Dion McCracken and of course he, as always, is still Brad Lewis. Later in the show, we've got Courtney Coburn and David Dunn, two of the most influential voices in New Zealand when it comes to WWE opinion and analysis. You're going to want to stick around for that one. We're going to be discussing, in our opinions, the top 5 matches of John Cena's career and predictions for 2026. Full disclosure, Brad, we've got to let the people know. As they watch and listen to this, we are 24 hours removed from John Cena's final match. For you and I, it was 10 minutes ago as we record this. This is raw, unfiltered, potentially not very well thought out. And maybe in a few hours we'll go, do you know what my opinion actually now is? But we wanted to capture this raw. First off, before we crack into it, how are you feeling after Cena's last match? Did you get emotional?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole entire show, I was emotional. And that's just what wrestling does. Look, my immediate reaction, probably because, and I imagine this is what's going on the IWC at the moment, the Internet Wrestling Community. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is what's going on, given the boos that were pointed at Paul Levesque's way, is that I had hoped, and I said this on the show last week, I could see how John Cena was going to win this match. In fact, I convinced myself he was with the Gunther promo because there's no way John Cena's giving up in his last match. And I just felt a little flat at the end. We saw how the crowd felt. They needed someone to take their pain out on, and they took it out on the dude who books the stuff, which I totally get, but I wouldn't have done that. But yeah, I just but in reflection, in the 5 minutes I've had to decompress, again, this is all about Gunther at the end of the day, isn't it? And it's about the storyline that he's going to tell moving forward, in terms of, and Michael Cole said it, he retires legends. And look, there's a few other legends that are on their way out in the very near future, including Chris Jericho, AJ Styles, and potentially Randy Orton. So maybe they are all on his hit list as well. But look, I don't know, man. I felt, I don't know about you. Did you feel like John may have felt they were booing him at the end? Like
No.
when Cody and Punk gave him the titles, he's like, they don't want that. They don't want that. Like, I don't know. I just, maybe I was reading between it. But look, I thought the match was fantastic. And it was always going to be great. Gunther's a hell of a storyteller, and John did 5 moves, which I thought was great, right? Like he literally stuck to his 5 moves of doom, which I thought was freaking awesome, and good on him for that. I loved how he was calling the match loud in the ring, because he's like that's what he's famous for, right? Indeed. The match was fantastic. I think in a week's time, I'll probably enjoy the finish more. Because there is a redemption arc with Gunther going on as well. That's probably a storyline that we're a little bit too emotional right now to sort of look at, given that he lost to Punk and Jey Uso for world titles this year at the 2 biggest shows of the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I thought the stuff at the end was good. The video packages tonight, Dion, were what separates WWE from the rest of the world, in terms of their ability to tell stories. So just feeling a little bit raw. I'm interested to know how you feel about it all, because the match went the way you thought it would, almost to a T. The finish, maybe not quite, because I think you had John passing out, but the smile and the tap out, I just, it hit me in the feels.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something right now. There are messages already in my inbox of people that thought that match was hot trash. And again, a lot of this is the emotion of it all and the expectation of what people thought it was going to be. I thought that ending was beautiful. And I mean beautiful in the truest sense of the word. And that's a word we so rarely use with professional wrestling. I think it was cinematic. I think he went out on his own terms. To me, the smile on his face represented his satisfaction with where he's leaving the business, his satisfaction for the night, his satisfaction that he
Yeah.
didn't need to win anymore, and that he was done. He had nothing left to give. He smiled. He tapped out. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I think we're going to have a lot of argument over the next 24 hours, probably over the next couple of years, about what this could have looked like.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And I've had a couple of people in my inner world texting me in the last few minutes as well, and we were talking about it. Do you think the finish was by John's design or by Paul Levesque's design?
Yeah, I think we'll never know, but I think John Cena would be completely happy with it. This surely would have been one match where he would have had a lot of input into how the finish went, which is why I think the booing or the taking out of it on Triple H is it's a little bit laughable. It is understandable.
I think WWE Unreal is going to tell us the true answer to that question.
Yeah, maybe so.
When the next season comes out, because the talk on the town is that John Cena's last match will be the final episode of season 2. So
yeah, well, that'd be great.
Potentially that. So yeah.
Well, let's rewind. Let's rewind a little bit. There are a few moments in wrestling where a show transcends the business. This one absolutely did. Not even many WrestleManias transcend the business. 6 did, 17 did, 40 did, in my opinion. Andre beating Hogan on the main event, that did. Foley winning the WWE Championship on Raw, that did. This one certainly did. This felt like a WrestleMania. The match itself felt like it was a WrestleMania main event. There was so much feeling and anticipation, and I think everyone would have been a little bit nervous not knowing what was going to go down because it felt so damn important. But like we said last week, we implied, or certainly I implied, that we're not going to care about the finish soon after. I think I might be wrong on that. I think people are going to care about this finish for quite some time. But my question is this: does that benefit Gunther? Does potential X-Pac heat go on Gunther? Does it go on Triple H? Does this hurt Triple H long term? Not that it matters, because this isn't the Triple H show people are buying. But at the end of the day, do you think that they've achieved what they hoped to in putting Gunther over?
Look, it certainly makes him a mega heel. He wasn't disrespectful post-match. Like, he normally does the wipe the floor, has a bit of a laugh. He got his hand raised. He did a bit of a pose and then walked out the ring to give John his moment. Actually, just something that's popped into my head. One noticeable absentee tonight was Randy Orton. Found that really interesting, and I hope there might be something going on there. I don't know, but anyway, Gunther, like mega heat is coming his way, no doubt about it. Certainly not X-Pac heat, right? Because that was the go away heat. This will be big time heat, and poses the question. And if we are heading to Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at Mania, which is, I guess, like, again, that hasn't been sort of thrown out there by the dirt sheets and by pundits. It's actually a match that was supposed to happen at WrestleMania 40, right? And then Brock was involved in the Janelle Grant case in terms of his name being dropped in that, and that match never took place. So maybe they're going in a completely different direction, and we could see Gunther in a title match potentially. But I don't think this harms him in any way. It can't harm him in any way, like not in terms from a storytelling standpoint. And like I said it to open the show, he is a phenomenal worker, and this match was never going to suck from a technical standpoint because he just won't allow a match of his to be poor, right? Like, so I don't know if it harms him. Now, Paul Levesque's an interesting one, and we all remember the footage. The collision, I think it was after CM Punk got let go by AEW or the Dynamite, and Tony Khan came out, not on TV, but it was filmed by the cameras, and he apologized to the crowd because CM Punk was advertised and said my life was in danger, and he got booed out of the building, and AEW's only just now recovering from that. And what sparked the hype in AEW was the decision to have Seth Rollins beat Bray Wyatt at Hell in a Cell all those years ago, and wrestling fans were sick of that. AEW came along at the right time and got all that goodwill. And WWE's had the goodwill since CM Punk left AEW. I now wonder, with John Cena going in this reset, does that goodwill shift back to Tony Khan and AEW? And That's the first time in a long time, Dion, that Paul Levesque has been booed.
Yeah.
Probably since he was the world champ. When was that? 2016, I think it was, when he won the Rumble.
Certainly the first time in the Triple H era, right?
But he's been loved universally by wrestling fans because he was everything that Triple H that Vince McMahon wasn't, right? So that to me is the biggest storyline out of this is does the internet wrestling community narrative of Paul Levesque doesn't know what he's doing and he's running out of ideas, does that now turn into everybody, like all fans? Because there'll be kids in that crowd tonight that have no idea why mum and dad were booing Paul Levesque. Like they probably have no idea he's the booker. Like my kids know Triple H is in charge, but they don't know that he decides 90% of the time the outcome of who wins and who loses, right? They don't understand that. So they'll be asking in the car ride on the way home, why was everyone booing Triple H at the end? Well, because he booked the drizzling shits of a finish at the end, right? So, look, I think that's the narrative now from a behind-the-scenes standpoint, Dion. But I think Gunther can only succeed from this. Did you ask that question because you kind of feel like now maybe he might be in trouble? Or
no, I don't think he'll be in trouble. I just wonder where this angst post-match is going to be directed, whether it will be directed at Gunther, and I don't think it would be X-Pac Heat, or whether it can be directed at Triple H. But I wonder if they can do an Uno Reversi here and lean in to Triple H being the heel authority figure that was sort of spoken about in the past that he potentially could be. It's not like it's a Bret Hart Survivor Series 97 moment by any stretch of the imagination, but it is still a bit of an opportunity that if they were heading in that direction, they could lean into it. I'd be surprised if it went that far. We're probably going to hear nothing more of it. We'll see a little bit of chat in the IWC, as we always do.
It could definitely work because you have a likable dude like Nick Aldis as the authority figure on SmackDown, right? So you could definitely have some good conflict there. So I can definitely see that happening. And I kind of think maybe they need to lean into that now because the booing's only going to get worse because everyone's watched this show. And now every time he comes out, the fun thing to do is going to be to boo Paul Levesque.
100%.
100%. Because the IWC thinks he makes everything about himself.
Yeah.
So look, that's I think the Paul Levesque storyline, weirdly enough, is going to be the most interesting thread moving forward in terms of the goodwill that he built up post the Vince McMahon era to now when we're at this point now where. And he kind of said it in the pre-show where tonight was almost like a changing of the guard. It was a reset. We saw those young guys and girls in the opening matches. So that interests me, Dion.
You asked earlier about the belts, the two belts on the shoulder of John Cena, and whether you felt the booing was directed at him and how he was like, they don't want to see me with these belts. I think he would have known the booing was directed at the finish of the match, whether he thought it was to Triple H or the overall scenario, who knows. But I thought it was a really beautiful moment. CM Punk coming out and giving the World Heavyweight Championship and Cody Rhodes giving the WWE Championship. To me, John Cena is the kind of guy that doesn't like to bask in his own glow. He doesn't like to be a tall poppy for tall poppy's sake. He does seem to be the kind of guy that would redirect any kind of adulation to whoever was closest to him. So I really enjoyed the fact that he did bask in that glow and that he did accept it and that he did that final bow. But prior to that, of course, was showing off those belts to everyone because he is a 17-time World Heavyweight Champion. Many people argue he's the greatest to do it because of those 17 World Championships. I think it was a really good nod. I thought it was a great moment. And it's one of the moments that caught me in the feels.
Can I tell you why I disagree with you?
Of course.
Now, the moment would have been, as you so put it eloquently, and I would agree with you, if the side plates were John Cena's and those belts were given to him to take home with him. Yeah, right?
Interesting.
And CM Punk said the line, we're paying it forward. And I actually thought at that point that they were gifting those belts to John and he would take them home, like he said, as the last real champion. So that, in reflection, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like if John's not taking those belts home, what was the point of that moment, right? And I think even John felt awkward because he's like, I haven't earned this. I didn't fight for a title tonight.
Yeah, I
know where you're coming from. So I think if they had John Cena side plates and he was taking those belts and putting them in his kit bag and putting them on his display cabinet in his what I imagine is a beautiful home, then no issue with it. But I just felt I didn't like that. I didn't like it because they weren't left with him.
He's got enough belts at home. He's got enough
I know.
belts at home. I do
I
hear
know.
what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying. How was that crowd though? And I wonder
Great.
if in the moment Cena hearing this crowd chant "Don't give up" was like, maybe we change things around here. Obviously, far too late for that.
Well, did you see though? Did you see he spoke to Gunther when they were saying that? And I wonder if he gave them that last moment, because there were a couple of moments in the match where I think John told Gunther to slow down, right? There was one moment where Gunther was getting up and you could see John say, "Don't get up, big man." And they cut to a hot replay. And then when we came back, John said, "This is the last time for the You Can't See Me," right? And there were a couple of other moments where I feel like he called something on the fly. And I don't know, man. I was like you. I was like, well, he ain't giving up now that the crowd's chanting that. And I kind of felt like maybe he gave them that moment and they just called an audible and went for one more false finish. I don't know. But
yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
That had to be the first time probably ever where I've heard a crowd chanting "Let's go Cena" and there being zero "Cena sucks." How weird and how great was that? Wasn't that an unusual thing to hear? And again, it must have felt so great for Cena. Man, I wonder what he's feeling now. Again, we're half an hour after the match has finished right now. I wonder if he feels empty or if he feels like he's achieved absolutely everything. I wonder if he's second guessing that finish. I don't think he is. I think it was again, to me, it was the perfect finish. Not everyone's gonna agree with that. But man, John Cena's career is over.
Wow, Dion. That's heavy, man. That's so heavy. And
it actually is heavy.
Do you know what's interesting to me? Or another thing that's interesting to me is like, I mean, how long's John Cena been around for, right? Since 2002. Okay. So what are we talking as we, 23 years, 22 years. My son is 11. Only sort of discovered wrestling 5 or 6 years ago. John Cena very much part-time in that period. I think the first time my son was introduced to John Cena was when he came out at Money in the Bank after Roman Reigns beat Edge. And then, so that was his first John Cena moment.
Did he take to Cena pretty quickly? Did he connect with Cena?
Because of the shirts, the colors, the fact that John just connects with, he's the best of all time at connecting with the audience, be it a 45-year-old, a 35-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 12-year-old, whatever it is. And he is still out there now, absolutely gutted. Right? Because I mean, he doesn't like Gunther particularly much either, but like he just said, "Dad, they should have let him win his last match."
Yeah.
And so that's interesting to me, is that John has been able to connect with 3 generations of wrestling fans. You know, if you sort of 2.5 generations of wrestling fans over the course of the last 23 years, that's what makes him so special. And that my son is so gutted, I think reflects on who John Cena is and what he's meant to the business that we love.
Yeah. Well, if we step back a little bit and notwithstanding the fact that people are going to be a bit upset over this, the booking of the finish, what an opportunity for Gunther. Obviously, yes, it's moving forward, going to pan out into something much bigger for him. What an opportunity for Lillian Garcia to ring announce that last match. Chad Patton, I think, was the referee. What an opportunity it was for him. And for this to be truly would you call it a love letter to wrestling, this show? It feels like a love letter to John Cena, this show. And the fact that we as fans were able to collectively experience this, again, whether you loved the finish or whether you hated it, we truly were part of a very special broadcast of professional wrestling today. And wrestling is awesome, Brad.
Wrestling is awesome, Dion. And I think that's an important thing for all of you guys and girls out there who are watching this, and a message to the people who aren't. Just remember that when you're typing away on your keyboard about how much you hated the finish, that at the end of the day, wrestling is just about emotion. That's why we love it, man. It's the emotion that we bring. And these people are human beings. They have sons and daughters, fathers and mothers, cousins and uncles. Like the reason I feel like I do, Dion, is because I love pro wrestling so much that I'm having conflicting feelings right now.
You have to go back and watch the match tomorrow, see how you feel. That final bow too, right, and the walk off, the final shot, cinema. I
That
thought
was
it was
feels.
tremendous. Look, hey, really quickly, let's touch on some of the other matches that took place. We're not going to dive as deep as we normally do, but Obafemi and Cody Rhodes, man, Obafemi is huge. Obafemi is over. He looked like he
Mm.
belonged. I quite liked the finish. I don't know that Oba needed to be protected necessarily, but the fact that Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes feud gets to progress, the fact that they got out of that match without either champion losing, it did make sense to me. It feels like Obafemi just needs to be in the main roster right now. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, and I would imagine Saudi and the Royal Rumble is probably the right place for that. He did defend the title against JVN Evans on NXT the other night. There's a fatal four-way coming up next week on NXT to determine who his opponent will be at the next event, New Year's Evil, I think it is. But how they get the belt off him is another question. Did they really need to put the belt on him? Again, I guess they wanted to make this match. They could have had Ricky Saints and Cody go, but Obafemi looked like an absolute bona fide, humongous superstar who, what did he say? In honor of hustle, loyalty, and respect, my time is now. Your time's gone. In terms of Cody, he did not look a bit out of place in a marquee match against one of the number one dudes in the industry right now. I thought the match was smooth. I thought everything they did was believable. And although I wouldn't say he was the breakout star of the night, I certainly believe that Obafemi probably confirmed to a few people out the back that along with Bron Breakker, we're looking at the two dudes that are going to main event, and Jacob Fatu, I want to add to that as well, that are going to main event from the men's side, WrestleManias for years to come.
Yeah. One thing I was particularly impressed with Obafemi over this weekend was his promo on SmackDown. It felt like he really belonged in that environment as well. Bailey and Sol
He's
Ruka.
good. He's special on the mic, man. He's very special. On the mic.
He's so good, and he's a real credit to the NIL program, I think, which often is somewhat controversial, but I think he really is a credit. You used the word smooth before to describe our friend Obafemi. I think Sol Ruka was very smooth today as well. She looked so relaxed in what was clearly the biggest moment of her career. There was a point, maybe midway through the match, where there was a little bit of a botch. I think there was. Can't remember who was trying to get who on up on a fireman's carry, and it went a little bit pear shaped. Often these things can become more pear shaped when people return to the spot and it looks terrible. She took control of that moment, I thought, because she continued the offense. Whether Bailey was in her ear, I'm not too sure, but again, cool, calm, collected, looked like she belonged. And I like the finish, the roll up on Bailey. I love a good roll up, especially when it's somewhat of an underdog. As Sol Ruka would have been in this match. And again, she looks like she belongs and could be on the main roster this Monday on Raw.
Sol Ruka, the breakout star of the night, right?
Yeah, I agree.
For me, did not look out of place at all. Also, Zarya looks like a superstar, Dion. Like, she really hasn't had the rub on NXT. She's kind of been like the Marty Jannetty of this tag team in the last year that Zarya and Sol have been together. But couldn't have picked a better person to be in the ring with. Bailey makes people look amazing. I've got a very interesting prediction about Bailey in my 2026 predictions later on in the show, so please look out for that.
Well, so do I. I wonder if our predictions are the same or if they're woefully
probably
different.
But mate, like been watching her for 2 years. She has the most unique finisher in pro wrestling. How she hits that flawlessly nearly every time. I know, but befuddles me. But man, she looked great. And again, I think it's testament to the fact that there's a lot of people in NXT, including my boy Ethan Page, that are ready for the main roster. And given this as a John Cena tribute show, Paul Levesque, the time is now. You have Royal Rumble / WrestleMania season. You need to bring these people forward. Ethan Page, Sol Ruka, Zarya, Jordan Grace, Ricky Saints, Obafemi. They all need to come up, and they need to come up soon.
Yeah. What a turnaround when you think of NXT 2.0 and how it was bagged initially, and how NXT for quite some time was a little bit, I guess many would describe it as meh, but things have really turned around. They have really turned around.
Sean has proven. Don't you think that Sean's proven he can make stars?
Absolutely.
On like on a show that's not on a major. CW is not a huge network. They get more ratings than AEW, interesting enough, in the US. But like, he has made stars. Even a couple like Carmelo Hayes that are on the main roster now. Trick Williams is another dude that's been main roster ready for God knows how long. JC Jane as well. Like, there's so many guys and girls down there that are ready. I guess the sad thing about that is it means it's probably the end of a line for a few main roster stars that may, contracts maybe put a line through them, but you've got to make those transitions. And there's 8 or 9 people right now that should be on the main roster that aren't.
Yeah, including Javon Evans and Leon Slater, although of course Slater and TNA. Can you imagine those two in a Money in the Bank ladder match? Oh my God. Fantastic
or a
match.
Rumble, like the spots that both of those two could have.
Wow, watch the space.
And my mate texted me and said Leon Slater and Javon Evans for number 1 and 2 in the Rumble in Saudi. Book it now. So
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Great match. Fast paced, did all it needed to do, showcased all 4 guys. AJ Styles versus Leon Slater, I think we will see on the opening night of TNA's television deal with AMC when they kick off in January.
All right, well, we'd love to hear your opinions on what you thought of John Cena's last match. Again, Brad, you're a little bit conflicted. For me, cinematic, beautiful. See how we feel in 24 hours and in 1 week and in 1 year's time, because these things do tend to change. Right, folks, well, after the break, we have got 2 of New Zealand's biggest voices when it comes to wrestling news and opinion. We've got Courtney Coburn and David Dunn right after the break.
Hey, this is Brendan Vink, and you're listening to That Sweet Pop.
Welcome back, everyone. And once again, this is our final show of 2025. So it feels like a little bit of an office Christmas party, minus maybe the booze and the regret, hopefully. And to close out this year, we're joined by 2 very special guests. First off, you know this man as being the editor of NZPWI, the voice of many a New Zealand professional wrestling event as ring announcer, commentator, and even general manager of IPW. He is New Zealand wrestling's loveliest man, Mr. David Dunn. David, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me on the show, Dion. Long-time listener, first-time participant. So very much looking forward to taking part in That Sweet Pop.
Nice one. And she has built an impressive following as New Zealand's leading social media influencer when it comes to all things WWE. And if you have not stumbled across her on your feed, you need to have a serious conversation with your algorithm. She is Courtney Coburn. Welcome, Court.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Very similar to David, first-time participant, long-time listener. I always see your clips come up on my For You page, and I'm always like, yes, Brad, I agree with you on that point, or Dion, I don't really know what you're thinking there, but no, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor.
One. Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll start with you. Let's touch very quickly on this last match that we just witnessed. Of course, Gunther and John Cena. Cena's final match. First, Court, how are you feeling about the match? How are you feeling emotionally?
Oh, man, where do I start? I think the best comparison for how I'm feeling is John Cena to me was always my childhood hero. I grew up watching John Cena, very much like the people in the 80s who watched, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. John Cena was that for me. And so watching him round out in his career in the way that he has been incredibly emotional. I know that we've had from January all the way through to December, but 2025 in itself has flown by so quickly just to even think that we're here at the final match and we've just seen it. Where is the time gone? Going back to your question about the final match and how I'm feeling, I was very emotional throughout John Cena's entrance, throughout the entire match, just overcome with emotion. And I think that finish was definitely a conversational point for wrestling fans, and you could feel a pin drop in that stadium when John Cena tapped out to Gunther. I was watching everybody in the crowd, and I was so terrified. I was so nervous for what was about to come.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Real interesting point. What about you, David? What did you think of the match and how are you feeling?
Yeah, I was in the building at WrestleMania 30 when the streak ended, and on television it looked like a very similar scenario there, with the air just being sucked out of the room to see John Cena tapping out. Certainly not the result I was hoping for, but I very much enjoyed the match, and I really enjoyed seeing a full arena of people who were there to support John Cena. You know, over his career, I've always been a Let's Go Cena. I've never been a Cena sucks. And it was nice in that final match to see everybody get on that same page.
Has anyone here been a Cena sucks? Have we ever been a Cena sucks?
Never.
Oh.
We talked about it earlier. It was interesting hearing that crowd, hearing the Let's Go Cena, and then nothing after it. It was fantastic. I thought it was really great. And from myself and Brad, we spoke earlier about it. Brad's feeling a little bit flat. Still feeling flat, Brad? He's not too sure how to feel about it?
Just again, like, and I think it's going to take time, right? Just to reflect on everything in terms of where the story goes. But yeah, like, after you sort of said to me the smile and the I'm okay with where I'm at, and the fact that John had probably made peace with himself in terms of the finish, then yeah, like I just went back now and watched the finish again just to see if that emotion, and it's still there, man. Like David put it so well when you said the air got sucked out of the building, and it truly did. And my son is still upset. I just spoke to him before. He's still upset, and and the great thing for WWE, guess who he hates more than anyone in the world right now? Gunther.
Yeah.
So that is what I guess as wrestling fans we need to cling on. I'm still not 100% convinced that it was the right way to go. I just want, like, the fan in me can is upset, but then the sort of behind the scenes wrestling geek wants to know who made the final decision on how that match ended. But I guess that's something we'll wait for, like I said, Dion, for WWE Unreal, or the Dirt Sheets will be talking about it. But yeah, it's still raw, man. It's still so raw. What was it, an hour and a half ago? Still so raw.
Yeah. I thought it was cinematic. I thought it was a brilliant finish. But I am looking forward to watching it back a second time when we've got that little bit of a buffer between the emotion and seeing again what we know is going to take place. All right, but we're going to backtrack.
Sorry, can I just ask one question of the court and of Dave? How did you think the match would finish? Court first.
I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of envisioned that finish happening. Not the smile and the tapping out, but I had a feeling that was going to be some form of finish. We would see, Gunther putting John Cena in a sleeper hold or a choke hold, and that being the way that John Cena retires. He's always had that mantra of never give up, and you could tell that he was fighting all the way to the end. But I think the expectation of the finish in your mind versus the reality of seeing it, I think is definitely where I do agree with you, Brad. It still feels very raw, because I had a feeling that's how they were going to go, and then they did it, and then you're like, oh my goodness, why? And as you say, the fan in you really wants to. I wanted Cena to win. I wanted him to go out as the winner of this match. But I think, you think about it behind the scenes and think, well, how is this going to serve Gunther's character moving forward? This is going to be another accolade he can add to his list and something else he can gloat about when he wants to challenge for that World Heavyweight Championship again.
Dave?
Yeah, look, I thought it was going to be a Gunther win. I didn't think it was going to be by submission, but, you can now count quite literally just on the one hand the number of people who have tapped out John Cena. So it's an incredible accolade for Gunther to take rather than, the splash off the top rope or a powerbomb or something to get it done. So, it's a good win for Gunther, but yeah, pretty raw sitting here only a couple of hours after it and seeing John Cena tap out for what's only the fourth or perhaps at most the fifth time in his entire career.
Yeah, the body's not even cold, and here we are asking you to tell us what your top 5 John Cena matches are from his career. We've had a few days for all of us to digest this. Let's start with you, Dave. Can you take us through your top 5 matches of John Cena's career?
Yeah, fantastic. So my number 1 match from John Cena's career is, in a way, a strange one because it's not really a match that's centered on John Cena, but it's John Cena versus CM Punk from Money in the Bank 2011. And I was thinking about this in relation to a Cena top 5, and is this a good pick? Because this is really, this is CM Punk's crowning moment. This is his story. It's in Chicago. It's his hometown. It's very CM Punk centric. But the match wouldn't have had the impact, and it wouldn't have really worked if it was against any opponent but John Cena. Had CM Punk won the WWE Championship off, say, Randy Orton or another top level name, it wouldn't have the staying power, I don't think. Whereas John Cena really was the antithesis of what the CM Punk character was at the time. And the two of them just made absolute magic there in the ring in Chicago. That holds up bell to bell. It's one of the greats. I think it's a Meltzer 5-star, certainly a David Dunn 5-star. And
and everyone remembers CM Punk leaning on the rail and waving at Vince, right? Like it's
blowing
iconic.
the kiss.
Like what a great selection, Dave.
Yes, I really enjoyed that. For number 2, I'm going to take Cena versus Daniel Bryan from SummerSlam 2013, and
Nice.
again a match that's not a John Cena win, but the John Cena character so important in getting over this other wrestler and making a moment for Daniel Bryan that was very quickly taken away from him. And but again, a bell to bell, incredible, and an interesting dynamic there between the two of them. Cena was with Nikki Bella at the time, so they were essentially brothers-in-law, and there was a lot behind the scenes. There was a lot in the ring, and very, very enjoyable as a match. Very enjoyable as a story of two characters coming together and then going their separate ways. Um, for pick 3, it's hard to separate my own experience with the match from the match objectively, but I was at WrestleMania 29. That was my first time on an overseas trip, and I happened to get a ticket upgrade on the day to be row A, which is the front row at
Oh, good.
WrestleMania.
What?
And amazing little anecdote there. My first time overseas, and I wind up front row at WrestleMania, and John Cena is wrestling The Rock in the main event. And
Wow.
of course, this is the twice in a lifetime match, the running it back from once in a lifetime the previous year, where The Rock beat John Cena at WrestleMania 28, and I wasn't too happy with that result because for me at the time, I related with what John Cena was saying. I agreed with him about the idea of Cena was there full time, The Rock was coming in as a part timer. John Cena is defending the honor of WWE and professional wrestling against somebody who has moved on. And so I was hoping for a Cena win. I didn't get it then, but at WrestleMania 29, I got it, and I saw it with my own eyes from 4 or 5 meters away. So an incredible experience on the day, and the right man won the feud.
It was a
in that
better
matchup
match
for
as
me.
well. It was a better match than the first one.
I think so.
Yeah.
Very much enjoyed that. Match 4, I'm going to go AJ Styles, and really you could take any of the AJ Styles matches, including the match they had at Vector Arena in Auckland, which was incredible for New Zealand to be treated to in the lead up to their SummerSlam. And of course, Courtney and I were both in Perth for Crown Jewel this year, which again, just running back the feud, so incredible. But I think the one that edges it out for me is the Royal Rumble 2017, when Cena at the time won the record equaling 16th World Championship. It was a historic moment, and just again, between the ropes, bell to bell, one of the all-time great matches, I'd say.
Very nice.
Such good stuff.
Beautiful.
And then for my 5th pick of my top 5, I'm going to go with the match against Shawn Michaels, not at WrestleMania, but from the Raw in London a couple of weeks later.
Yep.
Very good bell to bell, and an interesting one where I believe there had been an issue with Randy Orton, and they had announced that Randy Orton and Edge were going to wrestle on that Raw, but then Cena and Michaels, they just kept going, and they kept going, and they kept going. And you didn't really, to my memory anyway, you didn't really see things like that on TV at the time. It would be incredibly rare to get a 45-minute match on a, what's barely a 2-hour show. And they did great at WrestleMania, but I think they did even better in the rematch, tearing the house down. And that rounds out my top 5.
Yeah, that was just a few weeks after WrestleMania 23, wasn't it? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that's right. They were on the European tour and just ran it back.
Man, that is a solid list. I guess it goes to show, I imagine the 4 of us are probably going to have a couple of crossovers here and there, but there are so many moments. And when I was thinking back at this, Courtney, I'm not sure if you're the same. Sometimes it's not the match and the action within the match. It's the feeling that the match gave you that makes it so powerful. Is that much the way you feel with these?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like, the sequences bell to bell is definitely a telling point of professional wrestling, but I also think a huge point that people sometimes forget is the emotion within the match, the storyline leading into it with certain friends who become enemies, bitter rivals. There's so much emotion that gets built up into matches it's so important that is portrayed within matches. And as you've just said, Dion, I totally agree with what you've said there. Just emotion is just as important as the moves that are done within the ring.
Yeah. And on that note from Court, I just that's something that modern and new pro wrestling fans probably don't understand, because the bell to bell action now is so important with 5-star ratings and all that, and sometimes the emotion comes out of it. And look at 2 of the people that fans across 3 generations connected to the most: Hulk Hogan and John Cena. Not the greatest bell-to-bell wrestlers in the history of pro wrestling, but they had that special knack of making you give a crap about what they were doing. And that is one thing I think that new pro wrestling fans probably don't quite understand yet.
Solid list, David Dunn. Solid list. I think there's a couple of matches I'm going to have to go back and rewatch off that. All right, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. What about you? What are your top 5?
I am going to say just straight off the bat, there is a little bit of overlap there, but I think we said earlier that just because there's overlap, it honestly means that more than one person liked the match. It means that the match did what it needed to do and it conveyed itself to the WWE universe. And so I don't have them in any particular order here. I've just written them down. My first match that I've got on my list is the AJ Styles John Cena match from Crown Jewel. Don't know if you can tell by the t-shirt, but I may or may not have been there. But that's not the point. The point is, I think it was just a beautiful love letter to professional wrestling. I think AJ Styles and John Cena didn't need much build-up in terms of promos week to week, storyline advancements for this match to hit the way that it did. I think because of the history that they have previously and the respect that they have for one another increased the hype towards fans of knowing this is going to be an amazing match. And there were so many great moves within it that, AJ Styles was paying homage to people who have been incredibly influential in his career. Same goes for John Cena. It was just a beautiful love letter to professional wrestling. That move that, the Sister Abigail that John Cena hit on AJ Styles, I got teary-eyed after that. And you could see the fireflies forming in the crowd because of how much that meant to not only the Australian and New Zealand fans, but just to WWE fans in general to have Bray be shown in a match like that. A lot of my matches are also from 2025, but that's just because there's been so many good ones. So my second one I have on my list is John Cena versus Cody Rhodes from SummerSlam. I think the taste that was left in a lot of fans' mouth following WrestleMania, I definitely think this was a redemption for them to tell the story back and to change a few things. I think the storyline at WrestleMania may have got a little bit convoluted because The Rock wasn't necessarily there to actually explain why Cena sold his soul to him. So when we finally just got to see Cena and Cody just come in, have a beautiful match, they both know how to perform really well, and tell that story of Cena actually realizing the faults in his ways and turning back good again and actually putting Cody Rhodes over in the process. I couldn't have asked for anything more within that match. Similarly to Dave, the Money in the Bank 2011 Punk and Cena match is up there. I personally believe that any match that I've seen between CM Punk and John Cena is a non-skip for me. I believe they're wrestling soulmates, and I think actually both CM Punk and John Cena have gone on to say that themselves. And you can tell that they have so much respect and so much in-ring chemistry, and they both have an understanding of what it means to portray and convey that emotion, which we were talking about before is so important with pro wrestling, and they definitely did that within that match. My fourth pick on this list is Cena versus Seth Rollins from Night of Champions 2015.
Nice.
I don't know how much you guys know about me, but I'm a huge Seth Rollins girly. I love him so much. He's like my Shawn Michaels for me. I think him coming in with the amount of momentum that he did, being the world champion and the United States champion, there was so much on the line for John Cena. And I believe this was around the time that, Seth Rollins was working with the Authority. So there was so much stacked against Cena within this program. And they put on an amazing match. I cannot even spend like a week and a half just not thinking about, oh my God, that match was so good. That sequence was amazing. This was fantastic. And that really actually helped solidify Seth Rollins as an individual star, which I definitely think has helped him towards where he is today. And my final match on my list is Cena versus Sami Zayn from SmackDown. I've heard you guys talk about this before, and that was an amazing match. Just knowing the history of the John Cena, the United States Open Challenge, and the way that Sami Zayn asked to take that moniker on when he won the United States Championship, and just the way we had a full circle moment where the person who initiated that original Open Challenge is now answering the Open Challenge 10 years later from a Sami Zayn. I actually asked him briefly when I was over in Crown Jewel when we were working with Netflix, what was Cena about when it came to asking, can you use that Open Challenge? And he said he was nothing but kind and respectful and offering of that opportunity. So, I mean, the fact that Sami went and asked Cena, hey, I would love to use this idea, can I use it? And it's being able to be used on TV. Cena's now participating in it. It's a beautiful thing to see. And it's just the way that pro wrestling is just, it falls into so many different generations of different superstars.
Nice. Another solid list. You know what's interesting? These first two top fives, the amount of times that these matches seem to have almost been designed to put someone else over or progress their career, right? You talk about Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn. You talk about a couple that you had David, as well, which I've already slipped my mind because I've got all these matches going through my head. But it just goes to show what a selfless individual John Cena has been throughout his career, Brad.
Yeah, you're talking to his number one fan. All right, so my 5. All right, and again, no particular order. And just one caveat for me: I haven't put any of the matches from this year in. Just didn't feel like I needed to, and I thought they might jump in. But I think 3 of the best matches he's ever had have been this year, which is AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. I think the CM Punk match was sick as well. So I haven't put any of those in. And just an honorable mention as well to John Cena versus Edge, the TLC match, which didn't make my 5, but that was one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. So I've got CM Punk, John Cena from Money in the Bank 2011. It was just the storyline around it. John Cena helped make CM Punk that night, and you know how much I love storyline. So for me, that match makes it, and the actual match is really good as well. Like the in-ring stuff is excellent. And Courtney, I couldn't agree with you more. They're absolutely wrestling soulmates. Another one of John Cena's wrestling soulmates is Edge. And I don't have the TLC match in there, but I do have the Royal Rumble match where John won the title after getting cashed in on a couple of weeks earlier, which was it's only a 15-minute match, but it was a really cool story they told. A lot of people sort of felt that Edge was maybe moving up the card at that point and would get the better of John, but it's a really great match. Great call from Joey Styles as well, who was a fantastic commentator back in the day with ECW. Next on my list, John Cena versus Umaga from Royal Rumble again from 2007. Last man standing
Good
match.
shout there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a better last man standing match happened in any company in any era across the board than this match. The finish is so unique. And for those people listening and watching that aren't familiar with Umaga, he was unstoppable. He was the unstoppable beast, man. No one could beat him. And it was just a phenomenal bell-to-bell match. And just the creativity in that match was off the hook. Probably my favorite John Cena match of all time. Next up, I have the Cena AJ Styles match from the Royal Rumble. I think 23 minutes that went, and it was perfection. There was no botch. The ring entrances were cool. Mauro Ranallo was great on commentary. It was just a perfect match. And AJ Styles, what a partner he is. And finally, the greatest triple threat match in the history of pro wrestling: Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, John Cena. Again, Royal Rumble seems to be where John stands up at his best. That was 2015. It had an amazing finish. I think that was a coming out party for Seth. Brock was booked like the beast that he is, and John was like the sugar on top in that match that provided the link. So those are 5 that stood out for me. I also love that Raw match that Dave was talking about with Shawn Michaels as well. Massive Shawn Michaels fan. And I think the Hunter WrestleMania match was really good too. And he had some bangers with Batista as well. So this is so hard to pick, right? Like it's so hard to pick 5. But those are 5 that have stood out for me.
I'm almost feeling exhausted listening to all these matches, and I think I'm exhausted thinking of the next week of my life because I need to watch something back.
We get to go back and watch them because I'm going to go back and watch that Night of Champions match because I remember that I've only watched it once, so that's one on my bucket list tonight.
Only once?
Yeah.
I would have sworn you would have watched it more than once. You need to go back and watch it.
I'm going to right after we get off the line. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, nice. Thoughts, Court, David? Solid list.
Yep, good list.
Yep.
Pleased to see that Umaga Royal Rumble match on. That was my going to be an honorary mention for me, or a number 6. So glad you shouted that out. And good solid choices, Brad.
Yeah,
thank you.
Real good shout.
Go down.
I think I've only got 1, 2. I think I've only got 2 that are the same as the others. For me, I wanted to pick ones that resonated with me, whether it was a certain period of my wrestling fandom or some other feel that this match gave me. So 2 that were the same, of course, CM Punk, John Cena. Money in the Bank 2011. I think this is on everyone's list worldwide. Such a great match, such a great moment in WWE. We've already spoken about that one. Real banger. For me, I wanted to be a little bit careful with recency bias, but I still think Cody Rhodes and John Cena at SummerSlam is going to hold up. Certainly for me, Court, you used the word redemption. I've written the word redemption. It really was redemption for WrestleMania 41. It was the return of the real John Cena. I just wish the return went about a little bit differently in the SmackDown before, but we'll always have that SummerSlam moment. And after 2 days of SummerSlam, Man, was that crowd up for that match. Incredible crowd. I
Yeah.
watched it back this week, and I got all the jealousy come through my veins. I wish I was at that match. My last three, again in no particular order: John Cena versus Rob Van Dam, WWE Championship, ECW One Night Stand 2006. I think this might have been the first time we ever saw a "If Cena wins, we riot" sign in the crowd. Might be wrong, but that was
It
an
definitely won't be the
incredible.
last.
Did you see the sign today, guys? If Cena taps, we riot.
Oh, how good! What a turnaround, hey!
What
We
a
just need like a
throwback that is.
live stream video of the streets of Washington DC right now to see what's going on, because I fear they're going ahead with the sign.
It
And
might not be
if
great.
I'm Paul Levesque, I'm sneaking out in a dark color limousine tonight as well. So.
What I also liked about this match is that Cena was still pretty fresh, and it was a point in time where a certain demographic felt like Cena was being shoved down their throats. And what a hostile environment! You'd walk into ECW, it was the Hammerstein Ballroom, I think, from memory. Not an easy place to walk into. Again, hostile, but he was cool, calm, and collected. Really great match. This one I struggled with a little bit, but I added it anyway because it was my first WrestleMania 23. John Cena and Shawn Michaels. Funnily enough, I made a note saying the match on Raw a few weeks later is far superior. But again, for the good time memory that it gives me, WrestleMania 23. I think that's a match that's not talked about much. It's quite frankly one of the worst WrestleManias that we've ever had, sadly. Spending all that money to go to Detroit. But still, fantastic experience. And I watched the match back this week. It holds up as an okay main event. Every time you're in a match with Shawn Michaels, I imagine it's very difficult to have anything but a banger. And John Cena had somewhat of a banger with him. My final match is out the gate. John Cena versus JBL. I Quit match, Judgment Day 2005. Why?
Wow, yes.
I remember watching this one. I believe it was live. It might have been one of the early live WWE pay-per-views. And again, it was a period in time where it felt like Cena was being shoved down everyone's throats. This was his first WWE Championship title defense. I don't know if you can remember this, but you talk about a crimson mask. His face was blood red, absolutely covered from head to toe in his own blood. JBL bled a little bit as well. It was a very gory match. Both men put a lot into it. Had a terrible finish. JBL screamed, "I quit," after John Cena ripped a smokestack off a big semi and said he was going to smash JBL with it. JBL was like, "Okay, I quit." So the finish wasn't great. But I think for Cena at that point in his career, I remember thinking to myself, this is him stepping up and showing what he's capable of. As we know, for the next 15 years, there was still a certain segment that didn't like him very much. But today, they all did. So that is my top five.
More matches for me to go back and watch. That JBL match. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
But like just for me, and I think, guys, we're all massive John Cena fans. It sort of just puts it into perspective about the whole "you can't wrestle" thing. At the end of the day, was it really a silly phrase, right? Because he had so many great matches from a storytelling and from a bout standpoint if he had the right sparring partner. And yeah, like I'm going to be very busy for the next week. Like I'm really excited to go and watch that Night of Champions match because I remember it like, as if it was yesterday. I've only seen it live that first time. And that JBL match was really good as well. So I can't wait for that.
Hey, before we move on to our predictions for next year, I want to hear from David and Courtney. David, we'll start with you. Is there anyone in particular you wish Cena had a match with in this retirement tour?
I mean, obviously, contractually, we weren't going to be able to get Adam Copeland or Edge, but they were, and especially, I was a teenager at the time. I was sort of in my formative wrestling years when that was one of the main feuds through WWE. So I never expected it to happen, but it would have been nice to see some form of interaction between those two when he managed to close out so many other loops.
I wonder if they ever got remotely close. I can't imagine it did, but it would be very interesting to hear.
But would have been nice.
I wonder if someone at least picked up a phone. Had a brief call. We will never know. Court, what about you? Is there anyone in particular?
I talk about that Night of Champions match in such high regard. I would have loved to see a 10-year past, that match reunion between the two of them. I'm so surprised that their paths never crossed this year at all for Seth Rollins and for John Cena. And I think another person as well I would have loved to see have a full feud with him as a Drew McIntyre. I definitely think Drew would have had the opportunity to really show off his new character and go against the babyface of a John Cena. and potentially have a moment where, John Cena can put over Drew McIntyre and he can finally go towards that world championship. It's eluded him for the last 5 years of his career.
Yeah, good shout there.
KO for me as well, guys. Like, that injury obviously really stunk. And just on Seth, by all accounts, we may have got that in his final Raw match if Seth had nearly got injured, because the rumor mill had him challenging for the world title in his last Raw match. So that's, because and War Games completely changed. John was supposed to be involved in that. So unfortunately, Seth got injured, and we weren't given 2 matches in KO and Seth Rollins that I think we probably would have got if they hadn't got hurt. But that is the game they play.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, let's look ahead to 2026. Courtney, let's start with you. Give us 3 of your predictions for the world of wrestling in 2026.
How could I nail it down to just 3? No, but seriously, first prediction is Drew McIntyre is finally going to become that world champion that we've been craving for so long.
Like,
I don't know how he hasn't had it already with the career change, or the character change he's had, I should say. And just the way that he comes in, and the crowd is so behind him, even though he's meant to be a heel. People love cheering him, they love booing him, they love giving him that form of noise, as you say, wrestlers need in order to feed off the crowd. So I'd love Drew to become world champion at some point. I do believe that the way that Jade Cargill is finally going to get dethroned is by having a returning Bianca Belair. I believe that is the biggest feud for Jade Cargill as the women's champion. She's going to go on such a dominant spree where she's basically beating everybody in the SmackDown division, and then Bianca finally, returns and comes back. I don't know if it's going to be at the Royal Rumble. I think it's a bit too soon for her, but also she's just gone and had surgery on her hand, so she might be out for a little bit longer than how long she's been since it's been WrestleMania. But I'd love to see a full feud between them, maybe at SummerSlam if that gives her enough time to recover. And I believe Bron Breakker is probably going to win next year's Royal Rumble. I did have Sami Zayn originally in the cards, but I think Bron Breakker is definitely a good suggestion. If he loses this match to CM Punk on the 1-year anniversary of Raw on Netflix, goes into the Royal Rumble, wins that, and then can actually go and challenge CM Punk at WrestleMania, where we do see Bron Breakker become the world champion there. So I could come up with so many more predictions for you, but you've asked for 3, so those are 3 of my best predictions I can come up with so far.
They're 3 good ones. They're 3 real good ones. I like that a lot. David, what about you?
I've got 1 specific and 2 broader ones, but so my specific one is we're going with AEW, and I think 2026 is the year of Will Ospreay as AEW World Champion. At the moment, Ospreay sadly out with an injury, but from all accounts should be back at some stage in 2026. All in returns to England at Wembley Stadium in 2026. I don't know that it necessarily has to happen there, but boy, oh boy, would that be a perfect moment for it to happen there. And I'm certainly hoping for that to be the case. So, yeah, I'm not sure how many of these I truly believe and how many of these I'm just trying to manifest out there in the world. But Will Ospreay is AEW World Champion for me. And then my next 2, broader and closer to home. And again, I just want to reiterate, these probably more manifesting, don't come from a place of knowledge or anything like that. But I think 2026 could be the year that we get some international activity back in New Zealand, or some international interest back in New Zealand. Wrestling it seems as popular as it has been in New Zealand in some time. I was in the mall the other day, and the WWE calendars are for sale at the pop-up stands again. That's always a great way to determine wrestling.
Should have picked one up for Court.
Oh, we'll post you one down, Courtney. I'll sort you out. Don't worry about that.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, whether that could be a full-blown tour, whether that's something like World Series Wrestling that comes to Australia, perhaps they have an interest in New Zealand. I don't know anything, but it just feels like the interest is there, the scene's hot. Let's hopefully someone strikes on that. And then sort of related to that, I think 2026 could be the year that we see a New Zealander sign a contract with one of the major companies. And again, is that Dakota Kai now going by Charlie, moving on somewhere else? Is that someone closer to home? I don't know, but I would love to see it. And again, I think the talent is there. I think we've got a great number of people. I don't want to name drop any because I'll leave some out of the list. But there are a number of people who I would consider are ready to be professional wrestlers on a full-time scale. And I'm predicting, and I'm certainly hoping that it pans out for some of them in 2026.
Yeah, that's also a good shout. Yeah. Not only do you not want to let anyone off the list, they know where you live, David.
Yeah,
and they will
exactly.
bash down that door and live
Yeah.
in. And live in.
Why didn't you
I've
include
been
me in your top
doxxed.
5?
I totally thought you were going to say Charlie's going to be in the Eliminator, but he didn't.
Oh.
So
He's got the power. He can do that. We believe in you, David Dunn.
This is the problem with being the general manager. I've got to make things happen.
yeah.
Brad, what about you? We, by the way, spoiler for Courtney and David, when we recorded slightly earlier, we kind of tripped over each other, and we think we might have one very similar. But let's see.
We do, and that's okay.
That's
So I'm gonna honorably mention then, because I've added another one, that Bailey will go to AEW when her contract's up in the summer. I know she's doing a lot of stuff at the moment with training and behind the scenes, but I feel like the influence of Mercedes Moné being her best friend and the bangers that they could have, and she kind of, I don't want to see her go, but I just kind of feel like she's ready for something different. And I think she'll thrive. And they need a storyteller and another, like, not just a bell-to-bell great women's wrestler. They need someone who's able to connect. So I think she ends up in AEW. So that's my honorable mention. So my 3 are LA Knight wins the Royal Rumble. It's more hope than, but I just, given he was written off television last week, I'm hoping that this is them. I really do. Much like Courtney's hoping about 2026 being the year of Drew. Please, LA Knight wins the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant, throws out Braun Breaker.
Who's he? Sorry to interrupt, but who do you think he'd challenge?
Well, he's got a little bit of history with CM Punk. So, look, Matt, it all, I don't think Cody makes sense, but I guess if Braun wins in January 5, then I'm convinced LA Knight's winning the Rumble, and that's potentially a Mania match. So, but that's just my hopeful booking.
Interesting. Yeah.
Number 2, at some point in 2026, we will see Cody Rhodes become the number 1 heel in professional wrestling. And I think it will come off the back potentially of losing to Roman at WrestleMania, and we'll see the downfall of the American Nightmare white meat babyface character, and he will turn fully fledged crowd-hating heel. Again, kind of hoping for that, because I think Cody needs it. And I'm more convinced about this than any other prediction. Dominic Mysterio wins Money in the Bank and cashes in at the end of the year in the most Eddie Guerrero type way in some form of match, and becomes the ultimate heel that no one boos. So I think Dom cashes in Money in the Bank and wins the world title at some point this year, or maybe even a Seth Rollins type cash in at WrestleMania in 27.
Yeah.
And
Nice,
I love
man.
that Dom Mysterio one. The reason I got so excited is because he was my pick for this year, and then he wasn't in it, and I was like, But you have to admit that he will get to that point where Money in the Bank is the next thing that he can do to become a world champion.
He'd be such a great holder of the briefcase too. Like, you can just imagine slimily trying to cash in here and there and teasing it. And I reckon it'll be like a Dolph Ziggler type pop when Dolph cashed in on Alberto all those years ago, and probably got one of the loudest pops of all time when he cashed in. If Dom wins that world title, no matter where it is, it'll be huge.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Huge.
He's due too, right? I think there probably is an argument for Dom winning the Rumble, but I think, I don't know, maybe Finn Balor would have something to say about that. Maybe
he's earned that Money in the Bank, and I'm convinced it's happening.
Very good. All right, here's my 3. I'm going to start off with one that is slightly negative, because as we know, after WrestleMania, generally there are some releases and some real shocks. I think we are going to see a big talent release to make way for other talent, sadly. I've listed some names. I think we're going to lose the Wyatt Six. I think we're going to lose the New Day, Kofi and Xavier Woods. I think we'll lose Michin. I think we'll lose R-Truth. I think we may lose The Miz, but I think The Miz is going to stick around and be an ambassador of sorts, or perhaps stay an announcer on shows, or whatever it'll be. Before you enlightened me earlier, Brad, I wrote Bailey, that there's a chance Bailey may go. I'm the same as you. I want to see her stick around, but I don't know, man. I feel like something's up. I also think 2026 may be the last year that we see Jey Uso in WWE. I don't think he'll be released. I've just got a really bad feeling there's going to be some form of disciplinary issue in 2026. I really hope I'm wrong, but
Jimmy's the one who's got into trouble before, though, not Jay. So Jay's actually been quite a good boy for the most part.
Might be a case of too much yeeting. There's
Good.
just no more yeeting, guys.
Can you overyeet? I think maybe you can overyeet. Yeah, maybe you can.
We're at certainly you overeat when you're in the middle of a War Games match and you do it in a War Games match. So
that is
yeah.
That is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. So
Come on, man.
That's the bad news. Maybe one or two of those will be a part of those lists. Maybe none of them. The good news is I believe it's going to make way for the biggest landscape shift in WWE in many years. I think we're going to have a huge amount of call-ups. I think we'll see Sol Ruka, Javon Evans, Obafemi, who of course we just saw on Saturday night's main event. I think we'll see Kalani Jordan come up. We'll see Ricky Saints,
great.
Ethan Page, Blake Monroe. I believe Kendall Gray will be the first main roster call-up from Evolve. I can see her coming in. In fact, I can see a lot of these coming in before any form of WWE draft, especially given SmackDown's moving to 3 hours in early January. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. I haven't come up with Royal Rumble winners yet. I think that the field is too spread for that. I have come up with my Money in the Bank winners for next year, though. Chelsea Green and Jacob Fatu. I think those are my two that I can see taking it. But again, like you guys, I can see Dom taking it as well. There are so many good options here. Maybe even Obafemi. Imagine him scaling a ladder. Wouldn't that be a scary sight?
Dion, if Chelsea and Dom win Money in the Bank, I'll be the happiest human being on the face of the planet, because you couldn't get two more perfect people to hold a briefcase than Chelsea Green and Dominic Mysterio. And they've both earned it, both of them.
Yeah.
I can just see Chelsea using that, like, Money in the Bank. It's Green gimmick. My last name is Green. I can see her using that. I definitely can. And as you know, you've just said, Brad, like, they both deserve it. And I think, if Dom Mysterio is wanting to challenge for a world championship, the slimiest way to do it is to try and do it when somebody is at their weakest point by cashing in.
And Chelsea needs another title, right? We know she's the first and fourth and final United States champion, so she's got to move on to something else. Dave, I'm going to put you on the spot. Give us either Money in the Bank or Royal Rumble winners.
I mean, is it cheating to steal these suggestions from you guys? They sound very good. I like the idea of Bron Breakker getting the Rumble. I'm going to go Team Courtney on that one. Yeah. Assuming he doesn't get the win on the first Raw of the year. And then Dominic Mysterio as Money in the Bank winner just makes too much sense. I can't imagine somebody who would be a better choice right now. Obviously, there's a lot of time between now and the show for something else to transpire. But gun to my head right now, Dominic Mysterio, just all the sense in the world as Money in the Bank winner.
Who's putting a gun to your head to find out who the Money in the Bank? Who are these people?
Crazy stuff happening
in
Levin.
What's happening done to you?
Levin, you got to be careful.
As long as it's not Brock. As long as it's not Brock.
Yeah.
No thanks.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Don't do that to us again.
No, don't. Man, 2026 feels like it's going to be a huge year. One last question, just as we wrap. Courtney, let's begin with you. Are you more excited about WrestleMania now? Let's forget what's happened in the last 24 hours with John Cena. But are you more excited about WrestleMania now than you were 3 months ago?
That's a great question. I was thinking about this the other day, and I think the answer is yes. And it's because the landscape has become a lot more clearer. I think we get to the middle of the year and we start to think about the road to Survivor Series. And we think, how is this going to relate to Rumble? How is it going to relate to Chamber? How is it going to relate to Mania more specifically? And a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I don't really see paths for certain people here, but after tonight, that landscape is definitely looking a lot clearer. You've got, Roman potentially going after Cody. You've got some programs ready for CM Punk. You've got programs ready for Becky Lynch. The landscape is just looking a lot more built, and there are so many different ways they can go with WrestleMania. I am looking forward to it. Not too sure how I feel about it being in Vegas again, but location aside, I think it's definitely got a lot of excitement towards it because we're on that road to WrestleMania right now as we speak. So, yeah.
And David, you?
Yeah, I think I am more excited about WrestleMania now than I would have been a few months ago. Certainly, more optimistic about this year's about the coming WrestleMania than this year's too. I didn't particularly enjoy this year's WrestleMania, and I feel like if that is the perhaps the sentiment going around, then WWE is really going to look to redeem themselves in Vegas Part 2. And a lot of interesting possibilities heading into the Royal Rumble and then full steam ahead from there. So bring on first few months of the next year for WWE. Bring on WrestleMania. Yeah,
absolutely. Hey, this was a good chat. What a great Christmas party this was, and no one made a fool of themselves.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Well, thank you both so much for your time. First off, David Dunn again, the loveliest man in New Zealand professional wrestling. Have a wonderful Christmas, David, and a very merry New Year. And
same to you, my friend.
Thank you. And Court, again, thank you so much for your time. Same with you. Have a wonderful holiday. Thank you for your insight, and we look forward to more from you in 2026 as well.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
This is B. Priestley, the Top Gaijin, and you are listening to That Sweet Pop.
Well, there they are. Thank you so much again to Courtney Coburn and David Dunn. What a great chat. And a lot of interesting predictions. We're going to have to see how things pan out there. I do actually want to go back to last night because I couldn't make IPW Nightmare Before Christmas last night. You did, Brad. Tell me all about it.
Great show. The energy the guys brought was, and girls for that matter, was as good as I've seen, and I guess they were motivated by the Christmas theme, right? Like in last show of the year for a lot of these guys and girls. So loved it. Congratulations to everyone involved. If there is a better pro wrestler in New Zealand than James Shaw, I haven't seen him yet. Like, my goodness, Dion. To make everything he did believable against a man mountain that is Jay Rilla. I thought James Shaw proved just how good he is last night. And he had me convinced he was winning the title at one point there. As he had a little cameo appearance from his sister as well, which was really, really cool.
Oh, how good.
Yeah, she did great. So Mrs. Shaw, if you're listening, I thought you were fantastic in the little role that you played. And the best thing about the night, Dion, was the announcement that IPW is heading back to the Aotea Square on February the 8th for Rumble in the Square at the town hall there. Free show, 12 till 4. So no need to buy tickets. Show up. It's going to be huge with a 20-man Rumble match and other matches as well. A 4-hour free pro wrestling show in the summer.
Wow.
In February.
Man,
can't wait.
That is going to be absolutely awesome. Rumble in the Square. Rumble in the Square. Very cool. Very cool. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, this is our last show of 2025. We want to thank you so much for joining us. We want to thank you so much for all the support that you've given us. We look forward to coming back in 2026 where things are going to be bigger, brighter, shinier, a little bit fresher as well. So keep an eye out for that. We've got some hot interviews coming your way. Brad, I want to thank you so much for your time. This man is an encyclopedia and at times has carried segments of this show. Thank you so much, Brad. We're not doing a Who Am I this week because you'll probably get it within 3 seconds. So I'm going to work hard over the Christmas break to make sure I get some real good trick ones.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Dion, because you do all the mahi, let's be honest, for this show. So thank you for bringing me on to this. It's been awesome, bro, and I can't wait for next year.
Yeah, man, let's do it. So everyone, hope you have a tremendous summer break. Stay safe, get to the beach, put that sunscreen on. We'll see you again in 2026, but until then, have a good one.